Hi, I'm Tom Marks with the Marks Law Firm in Orlando, Florida, and welcome to the Healthy Family Law Attorney. Today I have John Stiteler as my guest. John has a bachelor's degree in Christian education. He has a master's degree in organizational management, and he has a master's degree in counseling from Liberty University. So two masters. Oh, and he has a doctorate degree in naturopathic psychology. This is, John, you've done a lot of stuff. You're a licensed clinical Christian therapist, a certified consumer credit counselor. You're a member of the American Nutrition Association. You started your career helping others with their spiritual health, 8 years in full-time ministry, 15 years as a business consultant with Fortune 500 companies. You have a nutrition business you started in 2005 that I think is incorporated into your current total health guidance that you started in 2011. You are a counselor, a doctor of naturopathic psychology, and a life coach. That's a mouthful. Welcome to the channel, John.
Thank you. Welcome. Good to be here.
Wow. So how did you get into all of this? How did you get started?
Yeah, it's as you mentioned, right out of college, I went into full-time ministry, and I felt like that's what was my calling. And I was really helping people with their spiritual health. But when you're in ministry, people come to you with problems. And to be honest, I wasn't really trained a whole lot in how to help them with problems other than the spiritual issues. So that's what led me to go back and get my master's in counseling so I could help with the emotional and relational issues. After a while, I realized, wow, there's a lot of conflict that is centered around finances. So that's when I went back and got my other master's degree in business and finances and got certified as a consumer credit counselor. And then just stumbled on nutritional health. Probably it's been almost 20 years ago. And then that's what kicked off my journey, and just seeing how nutritional health plays a big role in it. And then ultimately went back to get my doctorate in as a naturopathic doctor, focusing on mental health. So I realized that it all comes together, all focus on some aspect of total health.
I love the whole nutrition, the total life, the health, everything like that. So John, I know I've heard you talk about the analogy of the wheel and how that impacts health or nutrition. Can you tell our audience a little bit about that?
Yeah, oftentimes when we're talking to a new client or something, I'll use that analogy, the word picture of our life is like a wheel, right? And we have different spokes. You have your physical health, your emotional health, your spiritual health, your financial health, all these different spokes in your life. And if any one of those spokes is broken or missing, the wheel of your life starts wobbling, and it puts pressure on all the other spokes. So we have to take an integrated, a holistic approach to health, whether that's your physical, emotional, relational health, any aspect of your health. We got to look at it as getting the wheel of your life. We look at, for all of our clients, our vision is that we have sustainable relief and freedom. And we want that to be a holistic, integrated perspective.
When you're talking about the spokes in the wheel and you meet with somebody, how do you determine which spoke of the wheel that they need the most help in?
Yeah. One of the things we've done here is that we take a pretty unique approach to counseling or just health in general here at Total Health Guidance. We developed a proprietary process called a root cause assessment. And it's a pretty robust assessment that all of our new clients go through. It's a free online assessment that we offer. And what it does, it gives us tremendous insight into what are the root causes. How is that impacting? Because I could have 10 clients, for example, that struggle with anxiety or addiction, or they're going through a divorce, but the underlying root causes could be very different for all of them. So this assessment will give us a clear word picture and a clear visual roadmap of where we need to focus on. And then one of the things that we do is we take I know when people think of counseling, it sounds pretty subjective, like, oh, tell me how you feel, and it's all about your feelings and validation. And while that's important, I don't want to minimize that. We take almost a project management approach to therapy. So this assessment tells us, okay, what are the areas that need to be focused on? What are the spokes that need shoring up and strengthening? And then we're taking like a project plan, and we're running through this with, okay, there's homework and there's specific assignments, and we're patching the holes rather than just being kind of a subjective tell me more about how you feel.
That sounds like it's actually, gives you a real framework to work on those issues. I've also heard you talk about a number of D's that you look at, and those D's stand for something. Can you talk to us about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think that really further illustrates that wheel analogy, because when we think about the spokes, I use the D's because I can think of D's for each one of those different spokes. We think of like depression, for example. Depression, if you ask somebody, okay, what is that? That's a mental health issue. That's an emotional issue. But that if you've ever dealt with depression, it's not just an emotional health issue. That impacts your relational health, right? And it could impact your physical health. Or we think of, as a family law attorney, we think of divorce, right? Divorce is a relational health issue, crisis. But as well as anybody, if you're going through a divorce, it's not just a relational issue. It's a financial issue. It's an emotional issue. It's a spiritual issue. It impacts all the different areas of your life. The same thing can be said with diabetes. That's a physical health issue. But again, if you have diabetes, that's also impacting your mental health, and it's also impacting your financial health, and it's impacting your relational health. So the D's just illustrate all that. Or debt. Debt's a financial issue, but the same principle applies. It's kind of obvious that when we think about that, like, oh, it makes sense. Any one of those spokes is just the way that God made us, is we're integrated, holistic people. So if any of those spokes is broken or something, it's going to impact all the other areas of your life.
What makes you really unique is not just the therapeutic counselor role that you have that deals with the relational issues, but also the certified consumer credit counselor designation that you have, that you can talk about financial issues, because those are huge in divorce cases. Financial disagreements can really cause disruption in marriages. So relational, financial, what else?
Physical, even the spiritual. So we define spirituality here as just anything outside of yourself. So we put a spiritual emphasis on everybody's therapy, whether that has a religious connotation or not. We have some therapists, myself and some other therapists here, that are designated. They've gone through extra training in terms of the integration of theology and psychology, so we can integrate a person's personal faith. So they're coming from a Christian background or a Muslim background or a Jewish background, something like that. We can integrate their faith into the healing process. But even people that aren't coming from a religious faith, we want to separate religion from spirituality. We'll integrate some form of spirituality into the healing process, because it's critical. The fact is, we are spiritual beings. You can't deny that we're spiritual beings, just like you can't deny we're physical beings, or we're relational beings, or we're sexual beings. So we have to look at that holistic, integrated approach to healing.
Yeah, I agree completely. And I really like also the fact that you're into the nutritional aspect, because as am I, and the weight I've lost and how healthier I feel. And I realize there's things like cortisol and adrenaline that can be elevated in someone's, and what you eat and what time you eat and how you exercise are all super important. And I know we could get into that for hours probably. I always say that I believe families matter, and I want to provide hope and help to families to successfully navigate the family law process. And that's why I have guests like you, John, on here that really look at this in an integrative way, in a holistic way. And so I also want to ask you, as I ask all of my guests, do you have a healthy tip for our audience today?
I think for me, when I think of that, just a general healthy tip, I think of the saying, and you probably have heard it as an attorney, there's a saying that say the attorney who represents himself has a fool for a client. And I think that same principle is true in every area of life. So I would say get a checkup, as a healthy tip. I know a lot about mental health, because that's the field I'm in. But this year I went through a personal major loss in my life, and the first thing I did is I reached out and got a counselor, even though I know those things. I'm a consumer credit counselor, but I still have a financial advisor. There's different things that are going to happen in life, and I would say get a checkup, whether that's doing the free root cause assessment and getting a checkup with us, a free checkup, but somehow go the extra mile to get some help and look at see what area, which one of the spokes of your life maybe needs a little bit of shoring up.
Great tip there. Great interview. To our audience, if you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. Hit that bell icon. We're coming out with 2 new videos every week, legal topics on Wednesdays and interviews on Fridays. So we want to keep bringing these to you. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comment section below, and either John or I will get back to you. So we appreciate you. John, I appreciate you also. Thanks for being on the channel.
Thanks for having me. Have a great day.
Okay, everyone, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.